back at it again, and we have one with Candace Owens. And I remembered that she was supposed to be dropping a documentary about the whole BLM and George Floyd and that whole situation. So I came across a video, I guess, with Candace Owens talking about the George Floyd and how the media lied. I'll be totally honest, I didn't dive too deeply into the whole George Floyd situation. Obviously, we all know the riots and everything else. We all saw that. We all saw the video of the situation. But apparently there was a lot more to the story that the media didn't tell us. And throughout this journey, through, checking a lot of this stuff out, I've learned the media doesn't tell us a lot. They twist a lot, or they omit certain parts of the story out to paint a certain narrative very, very often. So when I read this title, I'm not surprised. But let's dive in.
Hello and welcome. And we can just get right into this because you know what we are going to cover today. We obviously have to cover the George Floyd trial conclusion, which is that Derek Chauvin is guilty on all counts. And I have to appreciate people that were trying to create a pressure campaign for me on Twitter saying, I wonder what Candace is going to say. Even Republicans agreed that this was the right call. I don't care who agrees that this was the right. I don't care if it's a Republican. I don't care if it's a Democrat. I don't care if it's a white person. I don't care if it's a black person. I am not so much of an intellectual coward that because the mob decides something, because the lie about George Floyd and the way that he lived his life has become so big that we just have to now accept it as the truth. And believe me, this is a lie. Nancy Pelosi yesterday said, quote, "Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice." She also said, quote, that his name will always be synonymous with justice. George Floyd's name will always be synonymous with justice. You have got to be kidding me. And don't tell me it doesn't matter. It does matter. This is the most important part, that he is now becoming synonymous with justice. Let me remind you guys, I've done it before, right? When the media was spinning all the lies and the media first came out and they said, oh, George Floyd was just getting his life together. He moved to Minnesota. He got released from prison in 2014. He was just getting his life together. You remember that? Do you guys remember that media depiction of St. George, who was just doing things for kids and just loved the kids and really was trying to set a good example and was just getting his life together? Until I reminded people of what his actual record was, because it became apparent to me that there was a reason that they were not producing the police footage, because they wanted to make sure that the lie was perpetuated around the world and repeated over and over again before the truth could get up from bed and put its shoes on. And here is the truth. Here is the person whose life and whose name is now synonymous with justice, Nancy Pelosi. George Floyd has a rap sheet, and I'm going to remind you guys of it again today. He was arrested for delivery of a controlled substance. He was arrested and put into jail. He was arrested for theft. He was arrested for theft again. He spent 10 months and 10 days in jail. He was arrested for failure to identify. He spent 15 days in jail. He was again arrested for possession of a controlled substance, less than 1 gram of cocaine. He was then arrested for trespassing, no forcible entry. He was arrested for delivery of a controlled substance. He was arrested for possession with intent to manufacture or distribute, another 30 months in jail total. He was arrested for aggravated robbery with a dangerous and deadly weapon. And that has really got to be the most significant arrest for me because of how sick what he did was. Ready? Here's a statement. At this time, a black Ford Explorer pulled up in front of the complainant's residence. The complainant that we're talking about, the woman, had somebody knock on her door and say that they were from the water department. And then that person forced their way into her home. And then a Ford Explorer pulled up. And there were 5 other black males that exited this vehicle and proceeded to the front door. The largest of these suspects forced his way into the residence. This is George Floyd. Forced his way into the residence, placed a pistol against the complainant's abdomen, and forced her into the living room area of the residence. The large suspect then proceeded to search the residence while another armed suspect guarded the complainant, who was struck in the head and side areas by the second armed suspect with his pistol after she screamed for help. I should also mention that there was a toddler in the residence at the time that this happened, a toddler. that was traumatized by what George Floyd did, a woman who was traumatized by what George Floyd did, various people who were traumatized throughout the life of George Floyd. He left a wake of victims. That is what happened. He had so many victims throughout his life, but right now, the world has decided that he's just a wonderful human being. You're not allowed to talk about his record. You're not allowed to talk about any of the things. There are children that are running around with George Floyd shirts. There are murals that have been constructed dedicated to George Floyd because his name has now become synonymous with justice. I guess my question is, justice for who? How do I do that? How do I live a life so that people say Candace Owens' name is synonymous for justice? It's not telling the truth. People hate that. People say you're not allowed to say it. You're not allowed to talk about who this person actually was because the media has agreed on a narrative before the truth has gotten out about who this man was. Getting his life together? Is anybody still buying that anymore? Oh, no, never mind. It actually turns out that at the time of his arrest, he had fentanyl in his system. He also had methamphetamine in his system. We also learned that the week prior, he had had an overdose. But none of that matters because now we live under mob rule. Mob rule just says that if a black man dies and a white person is around while that black person dies, it is a racially motivated crime. They've never proved that.
She is right about that for sure. I've even seen like a little story where someone said, hey, I saw, like a black guy like died in a park or something. And someone said, I saw a white guy, walking by the park. It must have been, a racially motivated. And I'm like, wait, what? Because you saw a white person walking near the park, you just assumed that it was them because the guy who died was black? What? That is just crazy. But also, another thing that I want to touch on. Yeah, I had no clue about this long rap sheet. The only part of the bad side of George Floyd that I knew about was what I had learned with when we had checked out Candace Owens' documentary trailer. That was it. I think he, if I remember correct, he tried to pay for something at a bodega with counterfeit money or something, if I remember correct. So yeah, a lot of this other stuff I didn't know. I did know the fentanyl, or he had some drugs in his system at the time that, he passed away. I do remember hearing about that part. But like I said, the rest of the stuff, no clue. And the media, the mainstream media, never talked about it at all. And it's not to say, and once again, and also, I think it's important to say that I'm not trying to say that the man deserved to die or anything like that. At the end of the day, did he commit some very terrible, no good, very bad crimes? Yes. But even I think we should have the death penalty. A lot of y'all disagreed with me. So even coming from me, I don't think, he deserved death, so to speak, because he didn't technically murder anyone and all. I think we should just have the death penalty for first-degree murderers. You commit first-degree murder, you die. And the way that you killed the person, that's the way that you die in. I don't know, but like I said, a lot of you disagree with me when I said that the first time, and I say that because even coming from me, I don't think he deserved to die. Did he deserve to go to jail? Yeah, sure, but death, no. But it's crazy how the media doesn't tell the true story. Almost never do they ever tell the true story, and I think that's doing a major disservice to society today. Doing a major disservice when they don't tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. It's doing us a disservice, and some of these, mainstream media companies should be held accountable. But, of course, they never will be.
Nothing about this was about race at all, but it doesn't matter because now George Floyd has been propped up, and this is what we have to agree on. Nobody's allowed to tell the truth. Why are they doing this? Why can't we honestly have an assessment and come to an agreement, by the way? I would have been perfectly comfortable if people said Derek Chauvin was guilty of manslaughter. I'm comfortable with that charge. I'm not comfortable with the lies that have been told repeatedly about who this man was. If you care about
putting your knee on someone's neck for that long, it's a bit excessive. You know what I mean? It's a bit excessive. So, yeah, I agree with Candace on that. Manslaughter, yeah, absolutely. You just sat there with your knee on his neck while this man was screaming and yelling, and then he stopped moving, and you just sat there. Yeah. Of course.
About black lives. If you're watching us thinking, Candace, I just care about black lives. then why can't we discuss Black criminality at the same time? Because usually on the other end of Black criminality is a Black victim. That was the case with Jacob Blake. That was the case over and over again with George Floyd. That's also the case with, and let's talk about the person that was trending all last night and all this morning, Ma'Khia Bryant, is that her name? The woman, the young woman that they're now saying, a 16-year-old girl in Columbus, Ohio, who was shot on Tuesday by police. Did you guys see the clip of her mother? She was shot and killed by police because she was attempting to stab another girl. It's on camera. She was a knife-wielding maniac, but those details don't matter. Don't forget, because
I do remember this situation.
Her mother came out and said that Ma'Khia had a motherly nature about her. She promoted peace. Ma'Khia Bryant's mother wants you to know that the knife-wielding maniac that you saw is not who she really was. Maybe in that moment she was trying to kill somebody, but the point that we should be focused on is that Ma'Khia Bryant liked to promote peace in her spare time, right? I mean, this is like, I feel like we have now tapped into fiction. Like now we have to just accept fiction. It doesn't matter because Ma'Khia Bryant was Black and she died at the hands of a police officer.
Is it sad that she lost her life? Of course, absolutely. You never want to see the loss of life, right? I think that's important to say because, of course, you're going to have, so are you saying? But at the same time, she was about to stab someone. And if I remember that situation correct, I think the chick was like almost sitting down, like leaning up against a car. And Ma'Khia was kind of standing up. If I remember correct, I could totally be wrong and be thinking of a different situation. But if I remember right, so she could have easily, right in the heart. It's not like they're standing up. I mean, and like I said, I could totally be wrong. You guys can let me know in the comment section. But I don't remember seeing them standing up. But it has been a while since this whole situation went down. So it's not like, hitting in the stomach could have been the easier thing. And obviously, getting stabbed anywhere could be very, very dangerous. But obviously, you get stabbed through the heart and you're as good as dead. I mean, it's just over with. So had she had poked her in the heart and the officer just let it happen, then what? Had the officer stepped in and tried to grab Ma'Khia and she turned around and swung at him, hit him in his carotid artery in his throat, he bleeds out on the ground, then what? You know what I mean? So it's almost like a catch-22. You lose and you lose. If the officer sits back and it allows it to happen, everybody's angry. Oh, why didn't you do something? Why did you let her stab that other girl like that? Now there's a young girl or whatever. There's a young lady dead because you just allowed her to stab her. Well, also, if you would have stepped in, why did he step in like that? Why didn't he just shoot? Why didn't he do this, do that? Now, he saw she had a knife. Once again, officers want to go home just as much as we do. Granted, do they put their life at risk every day working the job? Absolutely. But of course, they don't want to put their life unnecessarily at risk. If somebody's wielding a knife, you, me, or anybody else, we don't know these folks. We don't know their intentions. We don't know who they are. Whatever. We're not just stepping in and reaching in. They could easily swing around. They don't know who you are. It's a wrap. Over with. Dunzo. That's all it takes. So my question is, to anyone who felt that was a wrong decision, what was he supposed to do in that moment? Let me know. Talk to me in the comment section. I mean, of course, we could talk about, tasers, but those don't always work. We've all seen videos of that.
That's all that matters now. People want to come out and they want to support Ma'Khia Bryant. Maybe she too, like George Floyd, will be buried into a gold casket. Maybe eventually one day Nancy Pelosi will say that Ma'Khia Bryant's name will be synonymous with justice. Let me tell you what is actually happening in America at this time. And if you're a Black American, you better pay attention. Right now in America, the goal is to make sure that Black people love and support criminality. That is the goal. The express goal now is to make Black people believe that we should be in the streets, rioting, and looting and demanding justice for criminals, right? Because that is what these people are. They're criminals. George Floyd was in the process of committing a crime. I'm not saying he deserved to die. I don't think anybody deserved to die. I think he deserved to be arrested. They attempted to arrest him. Did you forget that part? Have you seen the full video of his arrest? The media refuses to show the full video that shows the police tried to put him into the vehicle multiple times, and he resisted arrest by saying, I'm claustrophobic, because he had just ingested fentanyl. Fentanyl, that thing that's 100.
I have not seen that full video, so maybe I need to check that video out, because I didn't see the multiple times trying to put him in the car. I've never seen that. Maybe I need to check that out.
100 times more potent than morphine. He had just ingested it because he didn't want to again get caught with a controlled substance, as he had done repeatedly throughout his life. Let's ignore a testimony from his girlfriend who said that they were both addicted, which, by the way, that is sad. Drug addiction is sad. We can be talking about drug addiction. We should be talking about drug addiction. That would be a meaningful discussion, but instead, let's ignore all of these things that would help us fix Black America. Let's not talk about drug abuse. Let's not talk about drug dealers. Let's not talk about criminality. Let's not talk about why Ma'Khia Bryant had a knife and was trying to stab a woman to death. Let's just talk about Black victimhood, because the discussion about Black victimhood almost guarantees us that in the future, Black neighborhoods are only going to get worse. When you start celebrating criminals, that is, of course, what is going to be the end result. We're going to have more Black death. We're going to produce more Black failures, because we're not allowed to talk about the truth anymore. And Republican and Democrats are even saying that this is good, right? So let's not talk about it. It's just been agreed. The lie has been agreed upon. Don't say anything. If you tell the truth, Candace, you're a bad person. I don't care what I am called. Just because right now in this country we are facing a pandemic of cowardice, because people are too scared once the mob says that this is what must be said and these are the only things that can be said, because the media has now created a system, a successful system of propaganda where people don't even know what the truth is because the lie has been said over and over and over again. That does not mean that I'm going to back down to the truth. In fact, I think more than ever now, we need to have people that are willing to stand up and to say that what is happening in this country is wrong. What is happening in this country is backwards. None of these people that I mentioned are heroes.
Leave it to Candace Owens to drop the truth bomb on us, right? So to wrap things up, I think it is important to say that it does suck to see the loss of life. It really does. That's not something that you ever want to see. That's not ever something that you ever want to really hear about. But the truth is the truth. And I think it's important that we are told the truth. And these mainstream media platforms don't give us the whole truth and nothing but the truth. They give us a piece of the truth so that it's easier to spin a narrative. A lot of this stuff that she explained in this video, I had no clue about. I've never seen the video where they tried to put him in the car multiple times. Never seen it. Obviously, the only real video that I saw was the one where he was on the ground and the guy had, his neck pinned down and that sort of thing, which obviously I think we can all agree that was horrible. I mean, the guy's crying for his mom, yada, yada, yada. He goes silent. You just sitting there with your knee on his neck. Yeah, you should go to jail for that. You definitely should. You really should. What was he combatant? Sure. But you said, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't deserve to die. I think we can all agree on that. And even Candace eventually got to that point. I was like, oh, shit. I mean, Candace, savage. My goodness. But then she said it. He didn't deserve to die. And so, yeah, I agree. That cop should have gone to jail, should have been arrested, the whole nine. Right? But also, in the midst of all of that, it's important that we tell the truth. And I don't know how we can hold these mainstream media companies accountable, but I think it's time we do that. And I think, actually, I take that back. I think we already have started to hold them accountable, because remember, if you guys haven't seen it, there was a video that I checked out, and it was talking about the mainstream media ratings, TV ratings, and Fox had held like the top 18 spots before MSNBC was like 19, and I think CNN came in at like number 20 or something. And from what I've been seeing, and I could be looking at it through, a tainted lens. But from what I've been seeing, CNN lies a whole lot. They spin a whole lot of BS. They tell a whole lot of lies. MSNBC isn't a whole lot better. The only one that's somewhat good is Fox. And it showed in the ratings. Top 18 spots. 18. Tucker Carlson's reruns. His reruns at 1 o'clock in the morning get more viewers than Don Lemon's prime time show. Prime time versus 1 o'clock in the morning. A rerun gets more viewers than Don Lemon's prime time show. So I think as a society, we already have started to hold these media companies accountable. And I want to say I read something or watched a video on, was it CNN, MSNBC? But there was like a new owner or new something that was starting to make some changes so that things are a lot more transparent and they're, telling more of the truth. I want to say I watched a video on that or something. And I can't remember. I want to say it was CNN. So hopefully if I remember correct, that changes some things. But yeah, it's terrible what these mainstream media platforms have done to us as a society, just enraging folks and not really telling the truth. That's BS. That's bogus. But as always, you guys can let me know how you felt about all of this, and honestly answer the question about the Micaiah situation. What was the perfect solution to that? Because I genuinely don't even know. I would have hated to be the cop in that situation. What's the perfect solution? It's a catch-22. You lose and you lose. You shoot, everybody's mad. You don't shoot, everybody's mad. You get poked in the neck. People are calling you stupid. It's a catch-22. You lose all the way around. Let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, and of course, hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love.